Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is forming this new price pattern, we are seeing the price of Bitcoin getting closer towards the next possible short squeeze as more liquidity is building just above the price and funding rates are starting to flip negative, which is a signal that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside the price of Solana and the price of XRP starting to reject from these key levels of resistance in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video. So definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and currently the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, the weekly Bitcoin MACD is of course still showing some weakness in the momentum, but like I explained in my last video, we're no longer seeing that slowdown in the momentum. So potentially this is the first early sign that we're regaining some bullish momentum. But once again, overall on this weekly time frame, it's still showing signs of weakness in the momentum, not a massive amount of bullish momentum. And of course, on this weekly Bitcoin chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, with higher highs in the price and lower highs in the RSI on the weekly time frame. And so overall, the weekly time frame has not really changed all that much over the last one day. Still technically within the bull market, but not necessarily showing a massive amount of bullish momentum on the larger time frames, at least for now. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day time frame, obviously we're potentially moving closer towards a bullish crossover, as I explained in my last video, in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD. But so far, we're not really seeing a lot of momentum to either direction, because technically speaking, we previously confirmed a bearish crossover in this indicator on the 3-day time frame around a week ago, give or take, just over a week ago. And then ultimately, we did not really see a lot of bearish momentum after that bearish crossover. But now that we're starting to slow the bearish momentum, moving closer towards a bullish crossover, we're not really moving fast in that direction either. So ultimately, this is looking relatively neutral for the price, at least for now. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, when it comes to support and resistance, of course, I'd still expect a lot of support at close to 98,000, especially around 97 to 98,000, acting as strong support. And I'd also now expect some support at around 103 to 104,000 based on previous support here, once again becoming support. And as for resistance on the daily time frame, I'd expect strong resistance in this area right here, in between approximately 110,000 to 112,000. And if we're taking a look at this daily time frame, at least for now, once again, we're forming a new price pattern, which I talked about in my last video, a potential falling wedge pattern. But I won't repeat myself too much in this video. Obviously, if you want more detail about this price pattern and the price targets and a possible trading strategy, knowing how to profit from this price pattern, then watch my last video here on the channel to find out more. But obviously, at the time of recording this video, this price pattern is still currently forming, and we've not yet confirmed a price target for the pattern, because we've not yet confirmed a break below this line of support or above this line of resistance. So this line of support is still sitting in between 100,000 to 101,000, and this line of resistance is still sitting at approximately 109,000. But of course, if we confirm a breakout above this resistance, that could possibly cause a bit of a short squeeze due to some reasons I'll talk about in just a moment. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term on the 6-hour time frame, for now the price is currently between support and resistance. So of course, we have this previous area of resistance, which I'd now expect support for the price of Bitcoin, and that's sitting in between 106,000 to 107,000. So once again, expect support in that area now that we've broken back above that area. And as for resistance, we have some strong resistance at around 108.5k to 109,000, and also in between 110,000 to 110.5k. And so those are the key levels of support and resistance to focus on, at least in the short term. And if the price of Bitcoin were to actually confirm a break back below 106 to 107,000 with candle closes here on the 6-hour time frame below that area, in that situation, it's possible we could retrace back down towards this next area of support, sitting in between 103.5k to 104,000. And we also have a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern forming on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. As we can see, we have a possible left shoulder ahead, and right now, if we were to see a little bit more of a pullback here towards somewhere around 103 to 105,000, somewhere around there, and then if we were to bounce somewhere around there, come back up and then break out above 108 to 109,000, that would form and confirm an inverse head and shoulders pattern in that situation. And if that were to actually happen, that would set up a massive bullish price target well into all-time highs. So obviously that would be very bullish for the price of Bitcoin. But once again, I want to make it clear, at least for now, that possible price pattern is not yet even completed its formation phase. So we first need to see a little bit more of a pullback and then a bounce and then a breakout in order to potentially confirm that. But if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, looking at the last 2 weeks worth of price action, we can see previously and a lot of the time, Bitcoin tends to move towards where there's a lot of liquidity. Now, it's never a 100% guarantee. I want to make that clear, but a lot of the time, Bitcoin tends to move towards where there's a lot of liquidity. And so previously, when the liquidity was below the price, we saw bearish price action to take out the downside liquidity. And then more recently, when the liquidity was forming above the price, we saw bullish price action to take out the liquidity that was above the price. And now what we have here is more liquidity starting to build at pretty much exactly 109,000. And that's really an area in between 109,000 to close to 110,000. So in that area right there, that is the next major price target in the immediate short term. And so once again, there's a very high probability, never a 100% guarantee, but a very high chance that we'll ultimately hit those prices at some point in the shorter term. So at some point in the next few days, obviously, I can't tell you the exact hour, but in the shorter term, most likely in the next few days or so, it's very likely the price will hit those levels to take out that liquidity. And if we were to first see a little bit more of a pullback before taking out that liquidity, if anything, that would be even better, because once again, that would form a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern, setting up a much larger bullish price target. So whether or not we see that pullback, either way, obviously it is quite likely we could hit some slightly higher prices. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, a lot of the funding rates for Bitcoin and Solana in particular are currently moving negative across most of these crypto exchanges, especially the large crypto exchanges. A lot of the funding rates are now flipping negative. And so what this means, in case you're new to all of this, is that there's a premium to short Bitcoin and crypto right now. And currently there's not many people interested in longing Bitcoin and crypto. And usually when this starts to happen, we tend to see some sort of short squeeze. Basically, the further the negative the funding rates go, the more likely a short squeeze can happen. Because basically when the funding rates are negative, the short positions are having to pay extra funding fees, usually every 8 hours, to the long positions. So the long positions are earning funding fees and the short positions are paying extra fees. So for example, if the price just trades roughly sideways, give or take, the shorts are basically spending big money on fees, the more negative the funding rates go. And so unless we start to see some decent bearish price action quickly to start paying out those short positions, ultimately those negative funding rates incentivize the short positions to ultimately close. And when a short position closes or a long position opens, that adds buying pressure to the market, causing a short squeeze, because that can liquidate other short positions, forcing them to close, adding more buying pressure and so on. That's what a short squeeze is. And ultimately that could take out that liquidity at these higher prices. And so once again, this is a likely scenario, never a 100% guarantee, but keep in mind these indications right now are pointing towards a possible short squeeze. Now, once again, on the larger timeframes, we're still lacking momentum. So I'm not talking about a massive move well above 120, 130,000. I'm talking about potentially just a short-term short squeeze, something maybe pushing closer towards all-time highs, maybe around 110, 112K, somewhere around there. And remember, even if we first see a bit of bearish price action in the meantime, if anything, that would be even better, for as long as we ultimately break out to the upside above this resistance. Once again, that could form a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern, setting up an even larger bullish price target. And so those are the key signals that I'm currently watching for the price of Bitcoin moving forward. And of course, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, you can get some massive trading bonuses over here, like for example, up to $45,000 in trading bonuses, and also deposit bonuses. Like for example, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your BTNX account, but only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using the link below this video to BTNX if you want to claim these massive bonuses. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, where you can also claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $50,000 in trading bonuses, and also a $30 sign up bonus and deposit bonuses, like for example, a 20% deposit rebate. So if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your 2bit account. But once again, only if you use that link. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and currently Ethereum, like I've said recently here on the channel, has just broken back above this key level on the price chart, sitting at approximately 2.4k. But at least for now, we don't really have a lot of momentum immediately towards the upside here. And in terms of the price structure, technically we're still looking a little bit more bearish than we are bullish in terms of the trend or the price structure for now on the daily time frame. So ideally, to be more confident in more of a bullish trend starting to form, we need to see some sort of higher low put in place above this previous low, or ideally breaking out above some sort of high to form a higher high. Those would be indications of a new bullish trend starting to form. And so even though this is some immediate bullish signals here, breaking out back above 2.4k, for now, once again, we don't have a lot of bullish momentum, especially thanks to this bearish divergence, which is technically still active on the daily Ethereum price chart, because at least for now, we've not yet actually confirmed an invalidation signal to invalidate the bearish divergence, which means it's still currently influencing the price of ETH. So we should not necessarily expect a significant amount of bullish momentum. Of course, we could see short-term bullish moves, but overall, the momentum is not exactly bullish. And the key levels of support and resistance that I'll be watching, first of all, I'll be watching around 2.4k and just under 2.4k as key support. And if we were to see another breakback below that key support level, of course, we have significant support closer towards 2.1k, as I talked about since before we initially broke below 2.4k. And of course, we have major resistance in between 2.7k to 2.8k. And I would expect a bit of short-term resistance at roughly 2,500, which so far we are starting to struggle at pretty much exactly 2,500 here in the short term. But overall, honestly, just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is most likely going to happen for Ethereum and a lot of the altcoin market, because of course, over the last few days, while Bitcoin played out this decent short-term bounce, a lot of the altcoins, Ethereum included, also played out something similar. So if Bitcoin, for example, like I said earlier in the video, maybe plays out a slight little pullback, possibly plays out some sort of inverse head and shoulders pattern, and then maybe later on in a few days plays out some sort of short squeeze, something similar could likely happen for a lot of the altcoins. But with that being said, taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, and Solana is currently starting to struggle and possibly start to reject from this key area of resistance based on previous significant support and also previous significant resistance, still currently acting as resistance, and that's sitting at around 143 to 146. So like I said in my last video, it's possible we could see a breakout here, but that possible breakout is not confirmed. We need to confirm at least a daily candle close above 146, and then of course hold that as new support in order to actually confirm a breakout here. But so far, as I've recorded this video, we've not yet confirmed a daily candle close back above 146, which means for now we've not yet confirmed a breakout, which means this is still currently acting as resistance. So continue to expect the price to struggle in this area until we actually confirm a breakout. And so it's possible that we could see some sort of short-term rejection here, but for as long as we see a bounce above this previous low, that would potentially be some bullish price structure, obviously forming some sort of higher low like this, especially if it's relatively close to this previous low. It's possible we could form some sort of W pattern or double bottom pattern to basically flip the price much more in the bullish direction in a bullish trend reversal, if that were to play out. But either way, obviously, in order to expect more of a bullish trend reversal, whether or not we see a pullback in the meantime, we would ultimately need a breakout back above 146 with confirmation. But for now, that is not currently confirmed. So continue to expect a lot of resistance around there. And if we can ultimately break out back above 146, in that situation, I'd expect a bit of short-term resistance at around 154, more resistance at around 158, and major resistance at around 167. And technically speaking, in terms of the larger trend or the price structure. At least for now, we're technically still within a bearish trend on the daily time frame, forming lower highs and lower lows until confirmed otherwise. But not a lot has changed for Solana over the last one day, so getting straight into the price of XRP on the daily time frame, and it's a similar situation for XRP. Technically, the larger price structure is still currently more bearish than it is bullish. We're still forming lower highs and lower lows, which is technically a bearish trend, but of course, during the bearish trend, we can see short-term bullish reliefs here and there, and in order to be more confident in a bullish trend reversal, we need to start forming some bullish price structure, like for example, some sort of higher low at least, or ideally a higher high. If we break out above these highs right here, that'll be a very strong indication that we're actually flipping in the bullish direction in terms of the larger trend, not just a short-term bullish move. But obviously, as we can see here, as I recording this video, the price of XRP is still finding resistance at this exact Fibonacci level that I've been talking about, sitting at around 219 to 220, because obviously over the last one day, we never actually confirmed a daily candle close back above $2.20. So that is still currently acting as short-term resistance. So of course, continue to expect the price to struggle at that exact level. And if we were to see a confirmed breakout with daily candle closes above around 219 to 220, in that situation, would likely see a move up towards this next area of resistance, sitting in between around 230 to 235, acting as strong resistance. And if we were to see a breakout above that area, that would be extremely bullish for the price of XRP, and would likely see a move up towards these previous highs, at least at approximately 260. But obviously for now, we're still struggling at around 219 to 220 as the immediate resistance to pay attention to, and the immediate support to pay attention to is really an area in between around $2.05 to $2.10, based on this 50% retracement level, and also based on previous lows, all roughly bouncing in that area. And so that is the key support to focus on right now. And if we were to break back below that area, in that situation, we have significant support here at this golden pocket, sitting in between around 192 to 195. But overall, honestly, we're not really seeing a lot of bullish momentum, at least for now. Despite seeing these short-term pumps during the bearish trend, the trend is technically still bearish. As we can see, we've not yet fully confirmed a massive trend reversal, so just keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the 12-hour time frame, it's a similar situation for Chainlink. Obviously, we're also struggling at this exact Fibonacci level, currently acting as significant resistance at around 1360 to 1370. So continue to expect the price to struggle and potentially reject from that area, as we're already now starting to do, as I warned about in my last video. But as I also mentioned in my last video, we're possibly forming some sort of inverse head and shoulders pattern here for as long as we first see a little bit of a pullback here, which we're already starting to play out. But then ultimately, of course, we need to see some sort of bounce at some point in the next few days back up towards this line of resistance. And then we'll need to see a confirmed breakout above around 1360 to 1370 in order to possibly confirm that inverse head and shoulders pattern. And so obviously that's just a possible price pattern that is forming and is not confirmed, which means the price target is not currently confirmed. And in case you're wondering, the technical price target for that possible inverse head and shoulders pattern would be sitting just above this golden pocket here. But considering the significance of this golden pocket acting as very strong resistance, that's essentially where I'll be targeting, sitting in between around 1530 to 1550, acting as very strong resistance. But once again, in order to confirm that as a price target, we need to first form this right shoulder here and then confirm a breakout above this immediate resistance. And of course, between this immediate resistance here and this golden pocket area of resistance, we also have the 50% retracement level acting as resistance. And we've previously found resistance at this level, as we can see, and that's sitting at around 1440 to 1450. And as for support, if we see a little bit more of a pullback here, I'd expect some support in between roughly 1260 to 1280. And below that area, I'd expect significant support at around 1160. And at least for now, until confirmed otherwise, the trend is currently bearish. As we can see, we're still forming lower highs and lower lows. So keep that in mind. Even if we see a bit of a short-term pump here and there, technically the larger trend or the larger momentum is still pointing in the bearish direction. But once again, either way, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities in the price of any crypto, then make sure to get set up ready to go using the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade these moves in the price of any crypto, no matter what direction the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.